Well, we left Del Rio, came back to the campgrounds, and I'm looking towards Mexico. It's about less than a mile away. This lake also goes into Mexico, and there used to be a bridge. It's called the International Bridge, and it's pretty famous because it goes across the Rio Grande River, and it was built in '49. Anyway, you can't get to it now because of COVID. They've got everything shut down. You can only go a certain way. Anyway, I was here this morning with Georgie. I mentioned it in my first video. And it's a nice, maybe a quarter of a mile walk from, actually from where I parked the car. Now, really, it's a strange deal, a puzzle. Because it says, there's a sign on this dirt road. It says, Old Steam Building Road. And there's no, the road runs down. It's all dirt. And then there's like 50 feet of it, paved concrete. And it's got tie downs in it. Strange. And then there's this. There's this I came down through a gorge. It's actually a very pretty walk. And you can just came down through there, and you can just see my truck there in the distance. So anyway, you can see the layers of rock. Georgie's been cooped up most of the day. I have to say it's kind of a bust because I'm too old and I can't walk 7 miles in one direction to get to that cave. The lake is so low you can't get a boat up to the cave, so it's not going to happen. So I am just enjoying the sun. It's 72 degrees. Maria's back at the camper doing womanly things like cleaning and washing clothes, you know, putting food on the table. And I'm down here at the lake drinking beer. Life is good. So we've come to the Whitehead Memorial Museum. This building was built in 1873 before Del Rio was founded, and it was a general store. It's been a church, a courthouse, and a Masonic lodge. And Judge Roy Bean is buried here. I don't know why, because it says he died in Langtree. So Maria is inside working out how we're going to do this, because we probably won't be able to take Georgie into the museum, but there's a lot of stuff on the outside. So this store was on the route. Let's see, and it served, it was the largest store between San Antonio and El Paso. There we go. Okay, so Judge Roy Bean was born in Kentucky in 1824. He died in 1903. So after the Civil War, he became a Confederate freighter, hauling cotton to Matamoros from San Antonio and bringing into Texas wartime goods like guns, ammunition, medicines, cloth, shoes, and food. In 1882, he began following with a tent saloon crews building railroad along the Rio Grande, cooperating with Texas Rangers. He was appointed Justice of Peace, law west of the Pecos, tamed rough frontier town of Langtree, where he spent the rest of his life. Won fame in unique court decisions as in trial and fining of a dead man for carrying a concealed weapon. Most widely celebrated show he staged was Fitzsimmons' Mahar World Championship boxing match on a Rio Grande sandbar near his saloon in 1896. Court was held in the saloon. So, let's see what's going on in there. So the brochure I got about this says that there is a miniature western town set up outside. So there we go. If we get in, we should see some pretty interesting stuff. So yesterday we were filming the Brown Plaza, which was a historic place. And I said the place was abundant with water because there's a spring here called San Felipe Springs, and then naturally there's a creek because of that. And it says that thing puts out 1 million gallons of water a day. So if that something like that was in Europe, that would be a sacred place. Anyway, we went to go see that spring, and you're not allowed to go in there. Don't know what the deal is on that. Look at the vultures up in the sky. They're waiting on me. So the Perry originally built this thing. Somehow Whitehead family acquired it, and then their descendants gifted it to the city of Del Rio. Well, here I was outside waiting for Maria to come and get me, and she was waiting for me to come inside. Anyway, we got tickets and we're inside. That place needs some work. Look. Anyway, they've made like a mini western town here. So we'll just wander around, and here's the Justice of the Peace, the Jersey Lily. Judge Roy Bean invited the British actress Lily Langtree to come visit, and she did, but he had died. So we can go in these.
Oh, isn't this cute? That man's not real, Georgie. Come here.
Most notorious outlaws in Texas history. White frost sanitary refrigerator. I thought it was a stove. Early 1900s, most ice boxes looked like plain wooden cabinets. Without electric refrigeration, they were fitted inside with a space for ice, which had to be topped up regularly to keep food cool and fresh. The White Frost refrigerator was only a cylinder-shaped ice box. A block of ice sat in a compartment under the lid, and chilled air was vented into the food storage space below. So pioneers would build a garden with a sense of urgency. They had to feed themselves with what they grew as soon as their supplies from their journey ran out. Pioneer gardens included plants such as corn, carrots, peppers, beans, lettuce, onions, squashes, and berries. So the city hall is locked. So here's the Norwegian Headstone. This headstone was donated by Tommy Lee Vick Jr. of Del Rio, Texas. It had been his father's possession for 40 years. The headstone was discovered in Shumia. Translation: Here rests the dear child, B.K. Christiansen, born date 1882, death date 7 the same year. Okay, so a roping exhibit. Try your hand roping the calf. Let's see that. Let's move on here. Oh, here we got two more graves. Judge Roy Bean. They were originally buried in West Lawn Cemetery. They were both moved here to the museum after many fans of the judge were desecrating other burial sites, wanting to see the resting place of Judge Roy Bean, as well as chipping off portions of his headstone to take as a souvenir. So they got moved here. Doesn't say what date. Judge Roy Bean, Justice of the Peace. I don't know what that one is. May 1874. Oh, that's Bean. Sam Bean. Oh, that's his son. Okay, so now we know about when he got moved here. Okay, so this is a schoolhouse, can't go in that. Metal art sculptures. Donated to the museum by Grant Duppel. He probably couldn't sell them. That's why he gave them away. So here we do have some old machinery. I'm interested in that. This is the Black Seminole Indian Scouts.
Oh, yeah, he's got his uniform on.
So the Blacks Seminole Scouts were runaway slaves who mated with the Seminole Indians in Florida. And you know, Jackson made them all go to Oklahoma. So that's how the Seminole Indians and the Black Seminole Indians ended up here. The last Seminole Scout. They were scouts. I read the plaque and it said they were phenomenal at being able to track. All the while they were the scouts, and they were under Lieutenant Bullis. They never lost one scout. So I'm in a little house that was used as a radio exhibit on the border. And it houses a lot of stuff from Dr. Brinkley, who became quite wealthy. He wrote books. That's his estate, an aerial view of it. He was very eccentric, and it said he had his initials on almost everything, even playing cars. Don't know if you can see that. JBB. Or is it JR? JRB. So, there's all kinds of old stuff in here. There's a dictograph that he kept medical records on. This is Dr. Brinkley's. After Dr. Brinkley was shamed out of Kansas, he moved to Del Rio, Texas, and opened up another radio station. This time he opened it up in Mexico because they were very eager to seek revenge against North America for dividing up the wavelengths and not giving any to Mexico. They gave Dr. Brinkley a 50,000 watt radio license, and construction started on the XER-AM, his new border blaster from across the bridge in Villa Acuna. The U.S. tried to prevent the construction of the new radio station, but it failed, and in the fall of 31, two 300-foot towers were up and ready for broadcasting. In October 31, XER and made its debut, and Brinkley called it the Sunshine Station between the nations. Alright, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but here's some more. That was XERF. So now I understand some of these pictures. Here's all the medical stuff from what, the 30s? Of Dr. Rodriguez's office. Okay.
1930, you think? No.
He died in 68.
Really? Pretty primitive. They keep air conditioning in the summer.
Okay, look how I'm just getting...
Well, I guess he only had one patient at a time.
Just think, how about doing an operation? There's the guy right there, Rodriguez.
Yep. 1886, 1968. 58, 78. He was old.
50th anniversary, 1914, 1964. That plate. All right, let's get out of here.
Did you see this?
This is a log cabin.
Is that a bathtub?
It was built by the Boy Scouts, 1924, behind the Presbyterian Church. This was the first building brought to the museum in 1963, and now depicts the life of early settlers. Yeah, that was a bathtub. And so, here's an assortment. I don't know why you'd have a brake drum. I guess that's art. Here we have carpentry tools. And some more of the log cabin. So we're inside the cabin.
Where did she cook?
I would say it's 24 by 24. They usually cooked outside in another building because of the fire hazard. So there's all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
early pioneers. Okay. Okay, let's get out of here.
That's an interesting crypt to keep the bugs off the baby. Look there,
Where?
right there.
Yeah?
Keeps the bugs off the baby.
What keeps the bugs off the baby?
Look how that's made right there.
Oh, that one.
George is trying to get out. She's trying to push the door.
So that's what's left of an international harvester. I would say it was a F20 or F12. And then there's some more stuff here. There's another one. I don't know what this one is. International harvester. So we're going to go this way, Maria.
Yeah. Come on, Georgie. This way.
So we have, here's an old broken down buggy.
Getting to her.
What? Maybe she needs a drink. So, what we have here, a crude irrigation system drawing water from San Felipe Springs and Creek were first devised by Indian and Spanish inhabitants of this area. Anglo-American settlers also saw the need for irrigation in this arid region. In about 1869, a group of landowners formed the Felipe Agricultural Manufacturing Irrigation Company, and they built canals, diverting water to 1,500 acres of land. And it's right here is part of it. Dougherty Research Center. We have no idea what that is. IMA Joe Fleetwood Park. So they have a 1948 Crosley station wagon. It was owned by G.G. Velasco. Crosleys were made in the United States from 39 until 52. Now what was unique about this engine is that it only had 24 horsepower and it was a 4-cylinder, but it was an overhead cam and it was driven by a gear and a shaft going right through there. See my finger? Where's my... okay, there we go. Yeah, and it was used in boat motors. When I was stationed in Las Vegas, my buddy had a 4-cylinder, 4-cycle boat engine, and it had a Crosley engine on it and 2 carburetors. Alright, let's seen enough. Oh, there's some more old tractors. We don't care about them. Let's go back slowly, slowly. See what we can see.
My shoes are untied.
Yes, so here's wagons. Typical wagons of the 1880s.
Right, let me see if I can get down and do it.
Okay, so we get a overview here. So this was a water pump. It was a fire engine. And so they held the water in there. Don't know what year it is. 20s, maybe. And then you have the windmill, of course. That's pretty common, even today in the Midwest. Okay, I'm coming. And then we have, oh, this is the fire truck. Now that may have a La France engine. Pretty sure. Pretty sure that's a La France.
Here, let me take her so you can film.
Del Rio Fire Department. What year is this?
Here, hand me her leash so you can film.
So, the truck was used from 1919 when it was bought and made by the city of Del Rio until 1958. Isn't that amazing? And it is a La France. Huh. Okay, let's move on. So this wine press, apple press, built in 1872. In Del Rio, we have the Valverde Winery. It is the oldest winery in Texas. And this is some of the stuff they've donated from their winery. So Julius Franchi, was it in Italian? What was he? Let's go check. He arrived from Milan, Italy in 1886. Franchi. Okay, 4 generations of winemakers. So, we're going to go there next. I think my partner are getting fagged out.
I think the humidity is getting to her. Where's your mask? We don't need our mask on.
Baker Cave, it says. Don't know anything about Baker Cave, but there is lots of Indian artifacts in there. So I don't know. See, those are, what do you call them? Fossils. Projectile points. Look at this. I don't know if you can, this is a big chart. I don't know anything about Baker's Cave, but there's some really ancient stuff here. Panther Cave. See, these are Panther Cave is on the Devil's River, and so this must be similar. And then there's Baker Cave. That's the one I talked about yesterday. I had the river wrong. It's the Pecos River and the confluence of Rio Grande and the Pecos, right there on the corner where it dumps. So here's a buffalo hide. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in here. Now, you see that rattlesnake? It's a longhorn. see this floor. It's got wood in it. But that is concrete. So I think this is to here. I'm going to read about it. This is to green, crush the green, mill it. Okay? So let me just shut this off. So Baker Cave is high on the face of a northeasterly facing bluff. It's 120 feet long and 56 feet deep, and the ceiling height above the deposits varies from 18 feet near the mouth to only a few feet in the back. So here's a historical marker known as the oldest bonded winery. Only survivor of about 25 once operated in the state. Then a town of about 200 when Frank Quaglia came here. Now they've named this street after him. Original winery still in use is kept cool by 18-inch adobe walls. Louis Quaglia and wife Kathleen used Spanish, Orleanier, and Herbemont grapes in making 2,000 gallons of wine yearly. Okay, so there is this whole area. Look, behind the courthouse there's another building made of stone, same color. And this is very interesting in that there was 2 Italians recruited in Italy who were stonemasons in 1854, and they were born, John Tanney and G.B. Casanelli were hired to come in New York to build structures. Well, that thing fell through, and both guys ended up working for the railroad, and then for the U.S. Army in Brackettville, Texas, where they built Fort Clark. After that was finished, they moved to Del Rio, and they got jobs building the courthouse, this church. There was a cotton gin down the street I just read, and I don't know if I can get in or not. But anyway, there was quite a large Italian community here in Del Rio. So we're going to go down and check that structure out too. The Sacred Heart Catholic Church. Mass was celebrated in private homes and in wooden house at this site before construction of this native limestone church in 1891 to 92. On the direction of the Oblate Fathers, the mission of Del Rio became Sacred Heart Parish in 1895. The stained glass windows installed at that time were moved to a new church building dedicated in... Oh, that's too damn bad. So that sign says the First United Methodist Church, and there's a historical marker which I will go over and check it out. I mean, I've never seen a Methodist church with a facade like that before. So there's been a church on this site since 1882, but this church was built, let me see, I forgot the date already. It kept doubling in size in 68. Wait a minute. This, so there was a stone chapel built here in 1903. And then 1931, this was finished. And now the congregation has well over 1,000 members. And you see there's some more of their stonework by the Tani and Casanelli guys, Italians. And right across the street is Victory Baptist Church. We are on the way to San Felipe Park, not to Springs. The far shot of the courthouse, so it's a little unusual with the round dome in the center and the round spires on all 4 corners. Kind of cool. So the winery wanted us to pay to even step inside their door, and then we were going to buy something. So we were going to pay twice. And besides, they would only let 5 people in at a time, and they were full, and there was 3 other people ahead of us. So guess what? We're buying some wine at H-E-B. And let me tell you, H-E-B is a good store. Look at it, all the people coming out with groceries. So yesterday, we were at that museum in Del Rio. And I gave you some information about Judge Roy Bean. And then today, which is Sunday, the 28th, we are on our way to Carla Kay's and wherever she lives. I can't remember the name. Anyway, we stopped at Langtree. This is the Judge Roy Bean Museum. Langtree is not very big, and I don't think it's open. I will walk down and give you the information on those historical markers. So this town, Langtree, was created in 1882 when the Galveston, Harrisburg, and San Antonio Railroad, later known as the Southern Pacific, signed a deed with the Torres family who owned the land, the town, which provided water for locomotives, developed from a tent town to a bustling settlement after the rail line was completed. The town was most likely named for George Langtree. And then it just goes on that Judge Roy Bean became, he made the town sort of famous because of he was quite the character. Now let me go over there, see what that one says. So William H. Dodd, who was born in England in 1868, ended up owning a ranch here and a mercantile store right on this spot, by the way. And he was quite involved in the community of Langtree, and he was fondly remembered. He passed away in 1935, and property passed on to his children. So, it was so foggy that I drove across the Pecos River and couldn't even see it. Just knew that I was on a bridge. So, we are going to jump back in the truck and head off for wherever Carla Kay lives.